He joins us tonight. Thanks all for coming on. So what was the purpose of today's, not really a press conference, say statement, do you think?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head, but what's really unfortunate as I see it is this reminds me exactly of what James Comey did in, what was it, July of 2016.
Yes.
He went out and talked about someone that they weren't going to charge with a crime, but then continued to say all kinds of information that was derogatory about Hillary Clinton.
Right.
Fast forward to DOJ when I was there, and that was a big thing, especially with the DAG's office, Rod Rosenstein. We're not going to go out there and talk about people that we don't charge. Well, that's exactly what we did today. That's exactly what we did with the report, with the 400-page report that talked about all this evidence and all these theories on why the president possibly committed obstruction, but they didn't charge him. So what have we learned from this whole process? Apparently nothing.
It's just interesting, though. I mean, he comes out and basically makes a series of contradictory claims. He says, I'm not going to testify before Congress because I've said everything I have to say, and if asked, I will just repeat what my report found, which is fine. But if you've got nothing else to say, then why are you doing this months after you concluded your investigation? Why now?
Right, well, I'll tell you, the two pieces of news that I got out of today was what you just said, right? He's not going to testify. And two, that the Attorney General Barr acted in good faith with how he handled the report.
Right.
After that, I'm not really sure what the news was because everything he said was in his report. So for the Democrats out on the campaign trail saying, well, now we have the case for impeachment, they're either misleading people, they haven't read the report, or they're too dumb to understand the report.
So did Mueller add, I don't think. Well, I can tell he didn't add anything that isn't in the report, correct?
The only thing he added was him going up there and making a statement, which he hadn't done. Right now, you recall, or maybe you've seen some of the coverage, after that statement, you have a lot of people on the left saying, well, Mueller just went and criticized what Barr said, so Barr was clearly lying about what Mueller told him. Well, just before this show, DOJ put out a joint statement between Attorney General Barr and, DOJ and Special Counsel's office saying there's no daylight between anything Barr said about what Mueller told him and what Mueller said today.
It's obvious, and the left lives in this airless little world sustained by those two cable channels, and I think they're not even aware what reality is at this point at all.
Exactly, and look, my theory here is that if you look at that part 2 of the Mueller report, there's two types of acts that they looked at. One was pre-special counsel, 2 was after special counsel. It seems to me from reading it that they didn't think the acts before special counsel came anywhere near obstruction of justice.
Right.
Afterwards, they seemed like they were leaning that way,
right.
And maybe that's enough in their minds for probable cause, which is the low bar you need for indictment. But there's no way that they were going to prove that beyond a reasonable doubt. So I think they used this OLC opinion as an exit ramp, so they didn't have to conclusively say there is not enough evidence to prove that the president committed a crime, and then they left it for Congress to, continue to spin the wheels.
Congress didn't do anything, so we've known this for quite some time, right? Congress was not going to impeach the president, I don't believe, before this morning. Now I think they will. And so that was not good enough for Robert Mueller, and he had to push the country toward impeachment because he thinks it's good for the country? Is that, what's the thinking here?
I guess that's what it is. It's really unclear. It was bizarre.
Do you think Robert Mueller really believes, who seems like a patriotic character, served his country in Vietnam as a Marine officer, by all accounts a decent man, he believes that it's good for America on the eve of another presidential election for the president to be impeached?
Well, I guess the proof is in the pudding, but one thing I want to go back to is the Russia investigation, right? The Russia investigation, for all intents and purposes, concluded in July of 2018 when they delivered the indictments for the Russian hackers.
That's right.
Why wasn't that announced before the election? Why wasn't that announced before the midterm election? If it was done then, why did they have to wait?
The saddest thing about this moment is all the people you sort of admire from afar, and then the more you learn, it turns out that they're sleazy and dishonest. And I hate to say it, Robert Mueller it winds up in that category. And it pains me to say that.
I think today was disappointing.
It was disappointing. I agree with that completely. Ian Pryor, great to see you.
Thanks for having me.
House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jerry Nadler could barely suppress his excitement or something. He seemed to be shaking after Mueller's statement today. Here's part of it.
With respect to impeachment question, at this point, all options are on the table, and nothing should be ruled out. What Special Counsel Mueller said loud and clear today for the American people is that President Trump is lying when he says no collusion, no obstruction, and that he was exonerated.
So it looks likely the Democrats will move forward with impeachment proceedings. Is that a good idea for the country? Is it politically wise for them? Dana Perino has considered both of these questions carefully. She's the anchor, of course, of the Daily Briefing.